It's the PokerNews Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 836th episode of the PokerNews Podcast. I am Chad Holloway, joined at Level 9 Studio in Las Vegas with Mike Holtz and Frankie C filling in for Kinda England. Frankie, thanks for taking the time to chat with us.
Of course, happy to be here.
We've got some great stories. World Series of Poker is happening. And Mike, you kind of broke one of these big stories. Some marked cards. What's going on?
Here, first off, let me just say this. The amount of nonsense that happens around me is kind of freaky. We're definitely in a simulation. Keep saying that. I don't see how we're not. I sit down at the $1,500 PL08 table, and I don't play too much mixed games, but I've always heard you'll see some marked cards in some mixed games, that there are some a lot more people trying to angle, a lot more people trying to cheat and stuff, but I've never seen it because I don't play mixed, and to be honest, I always thought it was probably overblown, but yeah, it's my third PL08 tournament ever. I sit down at the table and play 10 or 15 hands. And for those of you that don't know about PL08, it's a high-low game. So there's a half the pot gets split between the low and half the pot goes the highest hand. So the ace, the deuce, the 3, and the 4 are key cards, right? So if you were to mark cards, if you were to try to gain the most advantage, you'd want to see the aces, deuces, the 3s, and 4s, right?
Yeah.
A flop comes out, and it's ace, ace, 7. Woman in the 9 seat, the 8 seat, whatever it is, next to the dealer, she says, those aces are marked. And I look at them, and I literally don't see anything. I see nothing. They just look like regular cards to me. And she turns over to someone else oh, I see it too. And she picks up the ace, and it looked like there was a little tent in it. It looked like it was almost pinched upwards. Sure. And after the hand, she takes the deck, the other deck the dealer's not using, pulls it out. It's face down like this. She cannot see the cards. She, with 100% accuracy, pulls out, goes ace, deuce, 3, 4, pulls it out. It's a 4. Nope. 3.
Damn.
Takes the other deck, exactly the same thing. Bang, 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 bang.
Yeah, somebody's definitely marking those cards.
100% someone cheated, right? And so I call the floor over, and the floor who I dealt with, she's been great on every other thing that's ever happened. We've always had she's a good floor. But when I told her about this, she said, "Okay, we'll get you guys 2 new decks." And I was like, wait, you're going to investigate, right?
Yeah.
There's marked cards in both decks. Someone's cheating. She's like, no, we're not going to investigate that. And I'm like, what do you mean we're not going to investigate that? And I'm like, so what? We should all just mark cards and we're good to go. You guys don't care? And she just we can't, we're not going to check the cameras. I can't remember exactly what she said, but she 100% implied that they were not going to check.
Well, to that defense a little bit, sometimes, from what I understand with floors and various poker rooms, they say something like that in hopes that they're actually watching then or investigating, but they don't want the person to know so that they continue to do it and they can better catch them. I'm not saying if that was the case there or not.
No. I think Matt Savage said that on Twitter. Right. I think I saw that too. And I don't know. I don't think that if they're doing that, it's a bad strategy, in my opinion. You want your players to feel safe. You don't want someone like me going on Twitter and then posting that if that wasn't the case. But I'll say this, Ryan LaPlante, my friend, was behind me, heard the whole thing going on. Obviously, it's a big commotion. Everyone's talking about it at their tables. And he texted Jack Effel, and Jack Effel said he was going to investigate it. So he was on the case, so I'm sure they've looked into it. But yeah, it's scary to think that you can go play at a tournament for $1,500+ and the cards are marked. That's so crazy.
I remember once, this is several years ago when the WSOP was over at the Rio, there was a $25K heads-up tournament, which they had this year and just wrapped up. And one of the players who was going deep, the other high rollers in the tournament suspected him of marking cards.
Sure.
To the point where they got together and talked and everybody shared the suspicion. So everybody who played against this guy literally kept their hands on top of their cards.
Are we talking about Martin Corral or are we talking about something else?
No, it wasn't him. This was years ago. I can't remember the name. It's not one that would ring a bell. But the WSOP apparently investigated there and they didn't find anything from what I understand. But, this isn't the only time it's ever happened at the World Series. That's for sure,
Sure.
But good on this woman for being diligent in spotting it. Because like you said, to me, a lot of the times, it just looks like a regular card.
I don't even know how she spotted it. somebody else posted a video under my Twitter post, and they were talking about it as well, like saying, like, look at all these cards. I think it might have even been a dealer. He was pulling them out of the well at WSOP and saying this ace is marked, or this, not the ace, it was like 3, a 5, and a 7, and a deuce. And I think they were playing triple draw, which I'm pretty sure, I've never played triple draw, but I think aces aren't good in that. Deuce 7, yeah, gotta be. Aces are the high, yeah. So he was showing them that's somewhere on my Twitter as well. But I don't know. I mean, if people think they can get away with it, like, it's such a problem.
It's interesting because for sure is one of the 8 players at the table, right? So
or
it's like,
one of the people that got eliminated before, but yes, somebody at our table.
You can
100%.
narrow it down to a specific number of people. They have everyone's seat numbers, so it's definitely something that I hope they're investigating, because that's something like me too. I would never look at the cards. It's one thing I just never look at.
Sure.
I would never notice. So you could get me if I was in that tournament, because I would never look.
Well, no, that's what I'm concerned about too. And yeah, for me, I do look at all the cards when the dealer deals. I look at the dealer pitching the cards to everyone. Like, my thing is I just watch it, and a lot of times, and I don't know if I'm doing this like subconsciously or not, but it is smart to do, because if other players are doing that and they see a card, a lot of people just won't say anything. Like, I see a card, I see the 5 of spades, I'll immediately go, and you can ask anyone I played with. This happens like 3 times a session. I'm like 10 of spades, 9. It happens all the time. So, yeah, I don't see the cards being marked, and I'm staring at people's hands all day long. I'm staring at the cards, but yeah, it's and I feel like I have pretty good vision too. So
that's interesting, because I find that I do look for things like that when I see people discarding, right? Because some people will discard high. They'll throw their cards high up in the air.
Yep.
And that's one thing some people might not say, and then they get an edge because they might see a spade's gone. And just one less spade. It's not a huge deal, but if they see that if someone folds like ace of spades high up in the air, that's a pretty big card that is not going to be there in Texas Hold'em.
100%. And I think in the lower tournaments, the lower the buy-in goes, the more you see this. And I think it's one of the most important things that dealers should learn at dealer school is keeping the cards down. And then players need to know too, like, pitching a card like that high in the air just like because you're frustrated or whatever, that's the way you fold. Like, everyone's just fold, so no one else can see it. I mean, it's a game of information, right?
Yeah. Well, another story that's happened at the World Series of Poker is this late registration debate that's happened. It was spurred on by the high rollers, really. Basically, max late reg, they thought some players were getting in late, like 10, 15 minutes, that there was some favoritism going on. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think it was more people were waiting to max late reg, and then several factors. It does take a time to go from point A to point B, depending on where the tournaments are held. The WSOP also has certain processes in place that they have to follow, right? So at the end of registration, they go through the list. If somebody had bought in and was a no-show, they then have to void it, refund it. They have to balance and reconcile a bunch of stuff. So it does take time. So from what I understand after talking with Jack Effel, there was no favoritism going on. It was just these processes. They're looking into ways to better refine it. And they actually sent out a tweet yesterday saying a change regarding late registration for 10K and above events. Players must be registered and in line, capitalized, and in line at the late registration table when late registration closes, or your entry will be voided and refunded. Please allow yourself time to register online or in person to ensure that you are in line prior to the start of the next level and registration closes. Frankie, do you late reg? Are you a late reg guy?
I typically take my tournament buy-ins very seriously because I'm mostly a cash game player, so I like to be there early on. This won't impact me as much as I'm sure a lot of the people that are going for Player of the Year points and really trying to hustle like as many cashes as possible. I think it's interesting. I think it's a good fix too to make sure that the players feel like everything's fair, but for me, it won't be too impactful.
Yeah, for me, it's actually interesting because the 10K PL08, I actually maxed late regged it, and in this scenario, I would have had my ticket voided because I went over to to Paris, which obviously, if for those of you not in Vegas or haven't been to the WSOP, it's sectioned off into 2 areas, one for Paris and the hotel, and one for Horseshoe. So I printed my ticket at Paris, and my table was at Horseshoe. So I had to run across. I was like 6 minutes late, 5 minutes late, whatever. My ticket would have been voided. This is good because max late regging really does take money from the other players. Kenny Hallert, I think I've talked about this before on the show, but Kenny Hallert has an excellent believe it's like a PowerPoint or a document about late regging and max late registration, and with the math to support how much of an edge you actually get. It's basically the difference between if you reg on time, let's say it's $100 tournament and $10 goes to the rake, you're basically your chips are worth $90 the second that you buy in at the start of the tournament. By the end, when late reg is over, your chips are actually worth like $103 because of the way that ICM works and how much a chip is. So max late reg, if you were able to max late reg farther, it is actually a massive advantage, and it's something that most players don't see. And when, for example, at Chris Ferguson, he had 23, 22, 24 cashes in a row. I can't remember the years.
2017, it's player
obviously you know all of them. You know the years. Chad Holloway, the GOAT at Poker Knowledge. But yeah, he would wait at the end of the line. He'd be the last person in, and he would use his fame and his personality and he's nice to people at the table to tank longer than average, and that would allow him in a lot of events to literally play 0 hands and still cash. So
you know what he actually did that year? So he would be in the late registration line. He would wait. And then when he was right about to get into the tournament, he would leave the line and go back to the end of it.
Sure, of
so
course.
that he could be at the absolute max late registration.
Which should be punished, in my opinion, that something like that happens, you should be spoken to, and then after that, I don't know what type of punishment, but it's incredibly unfair. I mean, it's like, imagine if there's 20 people doing that. Everyone's just, you know what I mean, like a perpetual line.
But I'm seeing, I was looking at late registering the Gladiator yesterday, and it's like 10 big blinds when you join.
Yeah.
So he couldn't still do that nowadays because you're joining with like 10 bigs. You can't fold until the money.
Yeah, but like I maxed yesterday. I played one hand. I jammed 7s. I won a flip, and then I folded it into the money.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
that wasn't my plan, but it's just like how it ended up happening, right?
Yeah.
Well, for someone that plays poker and runs a YouTube channel, time is really valuable.
Sure, of course.
So I might be more open to late registering based on some of the stats you told me.
Yeah, so that's the stats I gave you are without skill edge too. So like if you have a skill edge, you obviously want to get in there and play the most poker possible if you have a big skill edge. But as far as hourly goes, you might want to look into it. I mean, it's actually really sick. Like max late registering is, and there's nothing worse than whenever you come, you double up again, and then everyone's just looking at you like, you motherfucker, I've been here since
Very
6
first
a.m.
tournament I played. Very first tournament I played. I come in, I jam 9s, I'm behind versus jacks and queens. I say it before it comes out. I'm like, you guys know who's winning this hand.
It's obviously you. Yeah,
I triple up, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Snap, get the comment. Bro, I've been here for 6 hours. I'm like, I mean, I had a late lunch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who benefits from late registration quite a bit. I like to sleep in. There's pros and cons, obviously. But I think late registration should be curbed to some extent. But if WSOP starts tournaments at 10 a.m., like, they gotta throw me a bone with some late registration. You know what I mean? 10 a.m.
I like two things. I like when an event could incentivize a player to be there on time. I know they do this at the Poker Go studio.
Yes.
Maybe you don't pay the rake, so you're incentivized to show up on time. I don't have a problem with late regging. I do it myself on occasion, but I do think they need to be very firm. Like airplane leaving the airport. Like once that gate is closed, nobody's getting on that plane, no matter who you are. Chris Brewer was one of the people who were critical at first and did believe that this was a good rule change, and did bring up a good point though. What if it's the last hand of the level when somebody busts before late reg closes? They wouldn't have time necessarily to get all the way to the registration. I'd say two things. In my opinion, late reg should always close after a break, right? So
Definitely.
Level 15-minute break so that people have time to go and do that. In this instance, the WSOP said, you can go talk to a floorman. Well, ideally speed it up, but really encouraging.
You didn't see their other thing. They said they're going to put a kiosk right there.
So, and along those lines, they're really pushing people to sign up for these Bravo accounts so they can go to the fast track kiosk and just quickly do it so they don't have to wait in the registration line. I'm not signed up for the kiosks. Are either of you guys?
Really?
I assume
You have to
I don't
be.
play that much. So.
Even if you
right.
play like 3 times, you should be. It saves you so much time.
Right.
No, I deposited enough in there for the whole summer immediately. I think it's nutted. But the only problem is, and this summer it's been pretty good. I haven't had any issues with Bravo. Have you?
No, everything's been good, but I've heard
the last few years it's not been great. There's been multiple times where like the system goes down, yada yada, and then it's going to be weird stuff because you're going to have a tournament where let's say it's a 25K or something. Like you have a ton of max late reggers in that. If Bravo's down and they're all planning on doing it right beforehand, you could have a situation where the WSOP loses $250,000 in buy-ins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a weird spot, but I think overall after break, like you said, and then everyone should be seated and then play starts.
Yeah, I would say this to just players in general too. I know there are exceptions. Some people are running late. Maybe they did just bust the tournament. But in general, just show up a little earlier if you're able to.
Sure.
Otherwise, you either take your time or you take your chances. If you miss it, you're going to be locked out. So, but it looks like this is an issue that's the WSOP is working on. Hopefully it irons it out a little bit. Before we get into some WSOP winners, Frankie, I want to talk a little bit about you. You're kind of our guest fill-in host here.
Nice.
What's your summer been like? You told me before we came in here, you have a goal in mind that you're playing how many days straight?
Yeah, so last year I kind of had the goal of not just being a YouTuber, but also being a great poker player. And one thing that I spent a lot of time doing is editing my videos. So last year I made a goal for myself. I'm going to play 30 days of poker straight from June 1st to June 31st and try to make $10K to buy myself into the main event. So play cash just 30 days in a row. And it ended up hitting my goal, playing the main event. So I spun 0 to 10K, played the main event,
Cash,
my
right?
first main event ever, made day 5, made 51K.
Fantastic
It was a
stuff.
crazy spin up.
I've seen the vlogs.
Hadn't played a tournament all year. And I'm just finalizing a video where I'm posting my entire 5-day run of the main event on Frankie C. So last year I did that. And this year, beginning of the year, a lot of time in editing too. So I wanted to kind of go back to the goal, but make it even more intense. So this year I'm doing a challenge, 100 days straight of poker.
Oh, wow.
So I have to play 100 days in a row, and I'm on day 14. Yesterday was my first day playing WSOP.com online.
Hell yeah. Welcome to the club,
Yeah.
baby. Welcome to the club.
I was talking to Chad before it started. It's like a whole different game out there. Like,
Absolutely.
You're seeing so many hands. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about this spot ever before. I haven't thought about this spot ever. So I really enjoyed it. It was super convenient being home, and having that mix between online and live is going to help me a lot, because last year I ran into a lot of problems playing cash games, waiting in lines. And that's one unforeseen thing you wouldn't think about in your challenge, but I would spend hours in lines, and I'd be like doing that and then coming home to edit. It's like I had zero free time. So this year, doing a lot more like logistic stuff before I go, planning when I'm going to go play, a lot of like late night sessions too. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. I don't think anyone's posted a 100-day challenge in a row playing poker, so I think it'll be fun content. I'm also doing some physical goals on the side. I weighed in about 200 pounds a couple days ago, or a couple weeks ago, and I was like, okay, I'm trying to get into 185, so it's like a poker goal, and I think that most people think of poker just sitting down. I'm trying to like change the narrative into like, okay, while I'm doing all this sitting, I'm also going to do a fitness goal too.
That's
and try to
fantastic.
get myself into good shape too. So it's a combination of the mental grind and the physical grind, and also trying to post content, running my business. So
And also trying to be a father.
that is number one.
Yeah,
I'm
of
glad we
course.
brought that up. It's been an
Congratulations,
awesome year.
by the way. That's
thank
super
you,
awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I have a great story that's on my YouTube channel, and it's kind of turned into, it's turned into the biggest blessing of my life. I spent just every break I get, I just try to like just spend time with him, and it's such a source of happiness for me.
What's his name?
Anthony.
Anthony.
Yeah,
Aw.
yeah, Anthony, little Tony. So
Little Tony.
It's
I love it.
been a year of blessings. I still think that my baby run good in poker is gonna come this year too. Haven't had any deep tournament runs yet, but I have a feeling that it's gonna be correlated.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We get to go on the journey a little bit. I know you're doing some work with us here at Poker News and doing some shorts and stuff, which I have been enjoying. And we actually have 2 of them we're going to run back to back. That gives a little sneak peek in your early journey here this
Let's do
summer.
it.
Yeah, let's take a look at those.
Now, everything I do this summer is fueled by my cash game winnings. I came back to Vegas from Asia. I played one private game, and I won almost $7,000. He's like, I want you to just play cash and start thinking about our family more. She's like, just think about our kid. And I'm like, okay, I think about him. She's like, he wants you to play cash games only.
Dude, I'm so bad luck. You bust.
No, it's okay. Well, I'll be back.
Are you gonna reg anything else?
I'm gonna play cash for sure. When it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday and your wife encourages you to go gamble a $1,000 poker tournament, she's the one. Province late. Oh, okay. I hadn't heard that before. Thank you. So getting my steps in today. Send me over here. I'm gonna choose that this walk we just had took away like all the bad beats I was about to have, so. Fourth time at the wrong place.
All right, so there you have it, Frankie. Are there more of these little shorts coming this summer?
Yeah, you definitely stay up on Poker News. It's going to be on my Instagram too, Frankie Cucc, and then make sure to check out the full stories because you're getting snippets on Poker News for a minute, but you're getting the long form videos on my YouTube channel at Frankie C, Frankie. So yeah, definitely check them out.
Awesome. Let's talk some WSOP bracelet winners. There's been quite a few since our last show. One of them, Robert Mizrachi, the now 5-time bracelet winner, ties his brother Michael. This was an interesting one. He took down the 10K Dealer's Choice Championship, which has become one of the premier events on the WSOP schedule.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wins it for $333,000. And this was just an awesome story from a 25K fantasy perspective, which we're going to talk about later in this episode, but he was a $1 player. And I think he took a little offense to that. And he's like, I'm going to battle this thing out. And he wins bracelet number 5. He is now going to go for player of the year, apparently, or so he says.
Pretty cool.
We have a winner's interview. We're going to share that right here.
We are officially heads up in the $10,000 Dealer's Choice event. We're down to Robert Mizrachi and Michael Martinelli. It's been a really long and tough battle for both of them, but I'm really excited to see who comes out on top and, more importantly, which game they choose to do it in. Okay, we are here with Robert Mizrachi, who has won bracelet number 5 in the $10,000 Dealer's Choice event at the WSOP 2024. Tell us about what it's like to win bracelet number 5.
Feels great. I mean, I'm on top of my game, playing well. I have great fans, family, a lot of support. I'm on top of my game. I've been playing a lot of sports and just focusing on new things to improve my game. You know, everyone keeps getting better every year, so you gotta keep with it. Otherwise, you're going to slide down. You got to keep focusing and playing your best game.
And then talk to me a little bit about what it was like to play heads up. Tell me about the dynamic and how you chose to implement that into your strategy.
Well, playing heads up, that's my specialty. And I was just worried, you know, 3-handed, that was it. And I just took control and played my A game and went from there.
I know you won on the pot limit deuce to 7 triple draw. Was that your pick?
No, we each picked 4 or 5 games. We agreed on games and we played 4 hands each, and it was fast, but it was fun.
And how do you plan to celebrate this win? Do you have any plans?
Yeah, play the next tournament.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you so much and best of luck in the next tournament.
All right. Well, another big winner was in event number 17. This is the $800 no limit hold'em at Deepstack. Massive field, 4,732 runners. Was taken down by TJ Murphy for $369,000. I mean, yeah, to turn $800 into $369K.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
I was in that one. Yeah, min cashed it, but not quite first place. But
we'll take the min cash.
I would even take 4th place, which is what Vernon Baruga took, $137,000. This was an interesting one because I see a personal trainer here in Vegas. He's become a buddy of mine. He doesn't really know poker too much, but he sent me this Instagram story from somebody
TJ or?
No, his name is Matt Emerson.
TJ knows poker. I don't know why I'm saying that. Yeah.
And so shout out to Matt Emerson. And he sent me this video of somebody he follows that happened to be at the World Series of Poker. And long story short, it ended up being Vernon's, I don't know if it was his wife or girlfriend or what have you. And I learned that he's a dentist here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, here in Vegas.
Sweet.
It's just kind of his dream to place in the WSOP. And he ended up making the final table, which is when this video came up. I want to show that right here.
Literally running to support my husband at the World Series final table. Shit. Fuck. So he said not to come, but I'm in the back, so I'm hiding. somewhere. Oh my God, do you know what this means? Hi, baby. There you are. I love you.
Thank you.
Where is it, baby?
It's just my 4th place. Here.
Verify that address there, please. Who just won, baby? Ew. See that cash money, honey?
All right, so I don't know. I love that
Wholesome.
video. Yeah,
Very wholesome.
Vegas Barbie, so excited for her man to win.
Yeah, that's the spin-up we're all kind of dreaming of happening for us, and especially I like having it happen to the dentist too. It's a great story.
Yeah.
And it's not even winning the tournament, right? That was 4th place. So to just see happiness, he seemed thrilled. And
Bricks of cash are always cool too.
Yeah,
Pretty big fan of that. Yeah.
Awesome. Hopefully we see more of him and more stories like that.
Very feel-good story. I like that. That was cool.
I think this was the event we were talking about. Was it the 1500 pot limit Omaha 8 or better that we were talking about?
The one I got 14th in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice deep run. Another deep run. You have a lot of these deep runs, Mike.
Nonsense. There's a lot of nonsense. I don't know. I don't really know how to play PLO 8, or I didn't before day 3. You know what I mean? I thought I knew what I was doing, but day 2, I got pretty shamed hard on one of the plays, which ended up actually wasn't that. Regardless, day 2 to day 3, I learned how to play by watching a bunch of final tables with face-up cards on GG. And as soon as I watched, I was like, oh, God. I was like, I didn't know anything. So to get 14th in that, pretty cool. But I wanted the glory in the end zone really badly.
14th out of 1,277 runners was won by Caleb Furth for $265,000.
He got me. He's a nice guy, and he's got his shoe game is fucking. He's got he always wears a different shoe in his left foot than he does on the right, like a different model.
Is that a style?
That's his style, baby.
Wow.
Well, he's rocking
If he's
it.
got the bracelet, I'm not going to say anything else.
Well, so it's funny because Nike put out a bunch of shoes called What The, and they're all different. It's like one pair, but it's 2 different colors or anything. So I don't know if he got inspiration from that, but my man's swagging. He does what he does, you know.
Event number 16, $5,000 no limit hold'em. This one got 660 runners, so over $3 million in the prize pool. Was won by Brent Hart, not Bret Hart, the wrestler. That would have been pretty sick, the hitman. But no, Brent Hart, who I don't know the full story, but I hear there's some controversy surrounding this particular player.
He owes a lot of people money, and he is not paying him back, and witnessed it firsthand. So. Wow. Yep.
That's a shame because he won $660,000. You think that could pay off a lot of debt, but
yeah, you think he would pay off the debts, but no, I don't know. There's nothing really to comment on, but yeah, he owes a lot of good people I would consider very nice people money. So it's kind of unfortunate.
Well, let's talk about somebody who we consider a good person, Dylan Weisman. Taking down
the Prince of PLO.
This was a PLO
You know that's
event.
His nickname now, right?
I mean,
everyone's saying that. Everyone's saying Dylan Weisman, the Prince of PLO. That's what I'm hearing.
Tim Duckworth is a big fan of his and been trumpeting him all WSOP. $1,500 pot limit Omaha, wins it for $294,000. Defeats Chino Ream heads up.
Wow.
And Steve Zolotow in 3rd place, an old school legend, and Stevie Z.
What a stacked Final 3. And Steve Zolotow, year after year, just crushing it. I mean, what an OG.
This was his Weisman's 2nd bracelet, the first coming in 2021 in a $1,000 PLO event. Frankie, do you play PLO?
I don't. I'm a fan of the game, but haven't put too many hours into it.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's like, I don't know, no limit to me is just a grind. It's not that much fun anymore. But you get me at a PLO cash game or tournament, and I'm absolutely loving it.
And there's some people that have like talked shit on Dylan Weisman, which seems crazy to me considering his results. But like, this is like got to be the nail in the coffin, right? Like, the fringe hate of him has to stop. He's clearly like a top 2 or 3 PLO tournament player in the world, and if he's not, like, I just don't see how he's not. He's so good.
Yeah.
I'm really envious of his PLO skills.
And he's a nice guy. I heard his winner's interview that he did after the bracelet win, and just, he was humble and thankful to be in the spot that he's in. Just wants to build a good life for him and his family. Like, I love to see it. And,
much respect.
Yeah, me too. He's a super good guy. I've met him a couple times outside of the poker world, and he's just always super friendly and yeah, great guy. I'm really happy for him.
event number 19, the 10,000 Limit Hold'em Championship. This one was another stacked final table. You had AJ Kelsaw, Ronnie Barta, you had Marco Johnson, Chad Evesledge, and John Racener getting it done for almost $309,000. It was his second bracelet. And I also listened to his winner's interview. So he's got kids back home in Florida. I think he's got 2 young boys. And he said he was going to come out here to the World Series and try to win a bracelet each for them. And he got one of them here.
Wow.
So.
Wow, that's impressive. That's a game I never played before, Limit Hold'em.
I've never played Limit Hold'em either. I wanted to play the 3K and I just didn't. But yeah, no, I've never played it. It seems horrible, right?
It does, but a bracelet seems pretty good. I'll take any bracelet.
No, you're not wrong, but like I just can't imagine. Yeah, my brain's breaking. It's just one big blind over and over again.
I played it.
You never have to think about sizing. It's kind of a relief.
That's true.
Oh, that hurts me though. I want to think about sizings. Yeah, I don't know. I got to try it.
Yeah, well, give it a whirl. Maybe not.
How am I
going
to fold to one big blind? Like I can't fold to a bet that's so small. It's just I'm just going to lose. Yeah, I shouldn't play that.
Another event we're going to talk a little bit about here is the 25K High Roller 6-handed tournament. This one, these 25Ks of the WSOP have been huge. 272 runners, $6.4 million prize pool, another stacked final table, and you ended up having Brek Schutten. And not Schutten, Schutten is what I've learned how to pronounce it.
Yeah, Schutten.
He won the
You didn't know that?
No.
Amateur hour.
I know. I'm used to butchering names here on the PokerNews podcast. But he won the WPT Seminole Hard Rock a couple years ago, got his name on the WPT Champions
That's
Club.
where I know him from. Okay.
Yeah. Finished second to Jake Schindler in the 50K a couple years ago at the WSOP. So almost had a bracelet, but gets the job done here.
Should just Barry Bonds asterisk Jake Schindler there and just give,
right?
Yeah.
$1.4 million. He's got 5 kids back home.
Wow. 5 kids?
Yeah, 5 kids. His wife
Hell
was
yeah.
there on
That's
the rail.
my dog.
Yeah. He's a nurse too. He doesn't.
What?
Like he said he's cut back on being a nurse, the hours. Like he's still a nurse, but so that he can play a little more poker. And I mean, man, you're winning a WPT for 7 figures. You're winning this for 7 figures. Like
winning life.
Yeah, no, he's good for him. Wow. That's great.
Yeah, and it was an interesting final table. Michael Rocco, who's a guy I know pretty well, went to dinner with him a few times, and actually reported on him when I was doing some live updates from this tournament. Playing great, makes it to 3-handed play, ends up busting in third for $639,000. So a good score, but unlike, the Vernon, who is happy to take fourth, like these high rollers are a different beast. They want to win these things. And I think that really came out in his post-elimination interview that he did with Jeff Platt, which we're going to show right now.
Michael, I kind of saw you shaking your head out there just a little bit ago. Overall, how would you sum up how you think you played throughout today's final table?
Bad.
Making a run like this, though, finishing in third, does it help the confidence level overall, despite the way you think you might have played at this final table?
No, not really. Because I always don't close big spots, so that's just what I do. I just get in huge spot after huge spot with chip lead and never fucking win, so it doesn't really help the confidence at all. I know I can just get there all the time, but I never win, so I just have to work on myself and just try to get better. But yeah.
Is that something that's weighing on your mind when you go into a final table?
No. Like, I always feel like I'm going to win, but I always manage to not somehow. So, yeah. I don't, not sure, but I'll figure it out at some point.
I appreciate the honesty and you opening up. Thanks, Michael.
So there you have it, a very raw and emotional, honest interview from Michael Rocco. My heart breaks for him.
Yeah, I like that in the way that it's so real and it makes me feel for him. And especially as a storyteller in my videos too, I always think about, the emotion and I had a pretty heartbreaking exit last year in the main event, and it kind of came out in a little video that I recorded. I wish we had interviews for everyone because these authentic moments are what poker is all about.
100%.
I'm glad that he was able to be honest with the camera. Obviously, it seemed a little hard for him to talk about it, but he still, made his point known, and kind of I believe in him, honestly. I feel even more.
Me too. I've met Rocco a few times, and he's good friends with some of my good friends, and he's really, really a good person. But he strikes me as someone who's just completely honest all the time. And I think the trait of of being hard on yourself after doing well but not completing. I think that's a trait that like some of the greatest of all time have in not only poker but sports, right? Like Michael Jordan, like that mentality of like, I'm going to be the best, like I can win these, but I got to, he's hard on himself, but I think he's going to come back and win several more bracelets in the future. Does he have any? He has no?
No, not that I don't believe so. Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
I think the Kobe Bryant saying is like, job's not done.
Job's not done.
Yeah.
Job's not done.
Job's not done.
No, 100%. But he's so good. Like, he's very talented, and he has a natural ability that you can't teach. Like, playing with him, he's got something other players don't. So I really believe, and he's like semi-retired from the game too, like where he takes breaks. I'm not really sure, but if he goes at it, I mean, he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah. Well, $639,000 to help ease the pain and hopefully maybe makes another run at the WSOP. In that $25K, there was an interesting hand that Poker News caught. It was a three-way all-in involving fan favorite Phil Ivey. Let's see how it played out right now. All right, so there you have it. Phil Ivey busting in that three-way all-in. Speaking of kind of a three-way, Mike, you got into one with Phil Ivey and Ben Lamb, right?
Yes, me, Ben Lamb, and Phil Ivey were in a threesome, obviously. Yeah, no. When I entered the 10K PL08 event, of course, like I said earlier, I was over in Paris. I run over to Horseshoe. I'm sweating bullets. I get there. I'm the last person. They close the line. Boom. I go to sit down. I see I'm in the 2-seat, 671-2. And I'm looking around. I'm like, no 2-seat, no 2-seat, no 2. That's Phil Ivey. That's Ben Lamb. That's a 2-seat in between them. So obviously, I sit down. I'm sweating. I'm like, hey, guys. So, I got to play with Phil Ivey and Ben Lamb, and it was incredible. Like, maybe the coolest thing. It was the coolest thing, best moment in poker for me. Better than, like, winning a bracelet. Like, was getting to play with him. It was so cool. And he was, I've always thought that Ivey, like, I thought that he would probably, like, if we talked at all, I'd just imagine it going like he doesn't say much and he doesn't really want to talk. But no, he was super friendly, gave me a bunch of advice, was very honest about his life and some other stuff. I mean, we had great conversations. And yeah, Ben Lamb was cool too, suggested me these bento boxes that you could heat up at the table. Like, I don't know, it was really, really cool. And it's funny because as I was walking over the table, apparently Scott Seaver said hi to me. And I was just so in shock. I dismissed him as nonsense. I didn't even hear it. I was just like,
wait, did you pull a Phil Hellmuth on Scott Seaver?
By accident. And then afterwards, I was so flustered. He was dressed up in like this nice outfit. And I was like, what are you, a pseudo lumberjack? And then I was like, I didn't mean that, Scott. I love you, buddy.
Mike got big time by Phil Hellmuth one time and he's never forgotten it.
Twice.
2 times. Yeah.
2 times. And I will never forget.
If you could sit down at a table and play with anybody you'd be like excited to play against, who would it be, Frankie?
Man, I do feel I've had the same kind of, it's funny talking about like how you imagine Phil Ivey would be. I kind of had the same thing where it's kind of Phil looking down at me. He's like, I'm just, we're just different generations, man, like type of thing. Where I don't know if but definitely Phil's up there. I think everyone that either has like that absolute presence at the table like Ivey, or on the other side has that total character like Hellmuth or Negreanu. Those are my top 3, and there's a reason that they're the most popular players or most known players in poker, because they bring something to the table besides their skill level. We all know about their skill. Yeah. Phil Ivey brings that fear factor, that cool factor, and then the other two are just hilarious, and yeah, I would love to play with
I've never played with D-Nags. He's the last one for me. I really, really want to play with him, though. I look up to him. He's awesome.
I've gotten to play with Hellmuth and Negreanu, never Ivey, so he'd probably be at the top of my list. I'm proud. It was years ago in a WSOP event. Negreanu and I got it all in. I think I had Ace Jack and he had Queen Jack on a Jack high board. We got it all in. and he hits the queen. So, he had to get lucky to beat me.
Yeah, this is
but
bullshit, Daniel.
Armor. Yeah,
He has plot armor. That's
that one
true.
didn't make his vlog.
No. Yeah.
Another event was event number 22, the Limit Hold'em Triple Draw. $1,500 buy-in, got 574 runners. There were no bracelet winners who made the final table, so it was going to be a first-time one. Former Dealer of the Year, Heather Alcorn, finished in 4th place for almost $440,000.
Oh, good for Heather. Wow. That's awesome.
Not $444,000, but yeah, everybody loves Heather, seeing her go deep. But ultimately, it was AJ Cummings taking it down for $146,000. Another winner that happened just last night that we got to talk a little bit about, a man who is super hot in the poker world right now.
Yeah. And hot in attractiveness.
I heard somebody on the WPT Voyage say that they thought he was the best looking man in poker. That's not even fucking around. That was said.
Why would you be?
That's true. Well, we're talking about Dan Sepiol, who won his first bracelet by taking down event number 23, the $1,500 shootout, no limit hold'em, $305,000 for that tournament. It was a big one. 1,534 runners. Dan, of course, won the WPT World Championship back in December. Made a deep run in the WPT Voyage that I just mentioned. He's won an MSPT title. He's won WSOP circuit rings. He's just right now one of the hottest players in all of poker. And didn't you say like he was down heads up by a large margin?
Yeah, so I went to bed kind of early last night while that final table was going on. It was a stacked final table. Everyone was playing really well. Yeah. They were all battling 6-7 handed for a long time. So I fell asleep and I woke up and I scrolled right to where his heads up and he had a 17-1 deficit. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, well, when's this better be over? It's better be over. Like, the guy has huge chip lead, just going to go all in, he's going to win. And then Kitty at breakfast goes, no, he won. And she kind of spoiled it for me, but then I was even more like looking at every hand with super detail. How did he do this?
Yeah.
How did he do this?
It's pretty sick.
And he played so well. I met him at line at the Wynn, and I don't know why I was so starstruck. He had just won. And I told him, I was like, what I was so impressed with in his win at the Wynn was how he thought he won and stood up to celebrate.
Oh, yeah.
But then realized he lost and then held the mental composure to come back and win.
100%.
And so I look at him, he looks throughout the entire final table, not disinterested, but just focused and unemotional.
He has the same look at the WPT final table, I felt like, too. I think that's like his final table look.
Yeah.
Or maybe deep in tournament
But it looks like relaxed. It looks like he looks so comfortable. Every spot he just looks extremely comfortable. I'm very impressed. I think he's a young guy, one of those names probably we're going to be seeing a lot more of.
Yeah, he's someone I've played online with for a few years now. And yeah, really great guy, really great player, friend of mine.
Cost you some money though, didn't he?
I'm happy he did, honestly. Yes, he cost me $1,000 where there was a bracelet pool of $1,000 each. I think there was like 36 of us, 33. And he was the one to take it down, obviously.
He was first in that pool, the first to win a
bracelet.
First one to
win a bracelet, correct, yep.
And he was a bonus player in the ODB Fantasy League, so you could pick him up. And I think this was his 6th cash too of the series, which leads, maybe making a run at your record. Mike holds the record for most cashes in a single WSOP.
What's your record?
25 last year.
25 cashes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't have 25 cashes in my life.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I think I have 8 this year so far. I need to do does it count? Does Mystery Millions, if I get 2 of those, it only counts as 1?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, I have 4 online, 4 live, I think. There's Pilo 8 employees event.
You have any
Mystery Millions
coaching slots available? And okay, good. Yeah, we'll talk after.
Sounds great.
The last bracelet winner to talk about, and we talked about Dylan Weisman being the PLO master. You can make the argument for Sean Troha, who took down the 10K pot limit Omaha 8 or better, the one that we talked about. You got to play with Ivy and stuff.
12th or whatever. No, that one. In the 1500, he got 12th or something, I think, or maybe even 5th, or I'm not sure.
259 runners in this, $2.4 million in the prize pool. It was Sean's 3rd bracelet, PLO bracelet, and I believe in as many years.
Does he have one online?
Let me check. I don't know. But, he defeated Tyler Brown, who was another bracelet winner, heads up, $536,000 in this one.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't rooting for Tyler Brown very hard.
Yeah, he's a buddy of yours?
Yeah, he's a buddy of mine, good guy too. He won the million, what was it, the Mystery Millions last year. for $1 million.
So tell me if this is a dumb idea, but eventually I think I want to really brace the hunt. And what brace hunting to me would look like is going to the events that have less runners and just in the off season, just practicing those events so I have a higher chance of winning a bracelet. So really practicing my mixed games. Now, as someone who plays mixed games, are you going to laugh when I sit down at the table oh, thank God,
I don't play
Frankie C.
I played that PLO8 tournament.
That was one of your first ones.
The third PLO8 tournament, the fourth one where the 1500 I got 14th, and then the 10K with Phil Ivey where I won 0 hands.
Well, I just think they're going to come see me in 3 years, sit down at their mixed game table and yes, he's here. We have a free buy-in.
No, I don't think you understand. The 1500s, and I say this to everyone, legitimately, they are great tournaments. I don't play stud. I don't play Raz. I've never played them, but whenever my friends have made final tables, I've gone and watched the final tables of a 1500 event. I've learned the game in 5 or 6 hands, and I think I'm better than half of them every time. They're really good tournaments.
So check this out. Sean won this event before in
the 10K.
Yeah, so the 10K PLO 8-handed. Oh no, I'm sorry. This was 8 or better. My bad. He won the Pound Limit Omaha 8-handed championship. That's where I got confused. Okay. That makes more sense. But he won that in 2022 for $1.2 million. Wow.
Jeez.
And last year won a 1,500 Pot Limit Omaha event for almost $300K, and then wins this one for $536K. So
good for him.
3 PLO bracelets in 3 years. His name's got to be mentioned up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable.
You could say he's pretty good.
You could say that, yes. One may think so.
Well, there are going to be other bracelet winners coming up, and we will recap those in the next episode. But before we do, I want to do a new fun little segment because the WSOP isn't the only game in town. You mentioned you were over at the Wynn. There's a lot of different tournament series happening throughout Vegas, and there's been some interesting winners over the past few weeks, starting with Miami John Cernuto over at the Venetian Deepstack Championship Poker Series, took down the $600 limit Omaha 8 or better for $13,000.
Oh, Miami John.
It's awesome because Miami John is just a legend in the game, and there's a big push this year to get him nominated for the Poker Hall of Fame. He's good friends with James Woods, who's a Hollywood actor, and John Cernuto is one of those names I've been hearing bantered about. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a Poker Hall of Fame nomination.
He's good friends with James Woods.
Mm-hmm. I know. Let's leave the politics at the door. There was another event at the Venetian, MSPT $1,100 buy-in tournament. Alexander Wong took that one down for almost $90,000. One of the things I love about the MSPT, which I used to work for, is at the Venetian they always do an 1,100 and then a 1,600.
Sure.
And the 1,600 was very cool because Chris Myers, who is an MSPT kind of legend, took it down for $158,000. It was his second MSPT title. Believe he might be a former player of the year. I'm not quite sure about that one. Actually, I'm going to look because I have the site right here. Kinda England, our usual co-host, was the 2021 player of the year. Yep, and Chris Myers was in 2017 player of the year. So here he is getting it done, taking down the MSPT Venetian 1600 for $158,000. Over at the Wynn, Jashti Kumar defeated Lee Markholt in the $1,600 seniors, had almost 500 runners, surpassed the $500,000 guaranteed prize pool, $717,000. They basically did a little heads-up deal, $118,000 for Kumar and Lee Markholt, $104,000. Another event at the Wynn Summer Classic was the $1,100 No Limit Hold'em Turbo. 131 entries, was won by Tony Miles.
That's my dog.
Yeah, I love Tony. Former main event runner-up, American Ninja Warrior. Literally,
he's a beast.
That's a new goal for you. Get on an American Ninja Warrior.
There's a lot of new goals I have.
Yeah, holy shit, bro.
Almost $35,000 for Tony Miles there. And then they had a 2,200 PLO, speaking of PLO, 300 runners, $600,000 in the prize pool. Matthew Pari defeated Richard Ashby. Actually, they did a heads-up chop, $106,000 apiece. But Matthew Pari got the official winners. So just some updates from About Town. You guys have been playing elsewhere, or is it primarily WSOP?
Primarily WSOP for me, stuff under about $1,500. I'm really excited for the Monster Stack coming up. In between some of those smaller events, playing a lot of cash games around at the Wynn and Resorts World.
I wasn't drafted, so I'm on a hunt to end everyone's souls who didn't do that. So I will be at the WSP for basically every event. Yeah,
there you go. Well,
I have 31 points so far. I don't know. I think that's worth more than $1. I could be wrong. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Speaking of not being drafted, the 25K update is what is coming up next as we are recording this. right now we're going to show the overall results. And as you can see, Team Dinkers and Team Sternheimer are out to early leads, 481 points for Team Dinkers, and Sternheimer 411 points. On the very opposite end, you have Team Chingas with 18 lowly points. But this stuff is changing daily.
What's AJ's Eagles and DNX team?
Yeah, AJ's Eagles 222 points. Negreanu is down there 110.
Oh, he's got points. 110 though. Okay.
But so here's where these things really get switched up. So for instance, today, as we're recording, is day 2 of the Gladiators event, and there were 4 25K players still in there. Sean D was in there, who was on our last episode of the podcast. Check that out. Texas Mike was still in. Steve Wolansky and Arthur Morris were all in. And because of how large that field was, if they make it to a certain point, they get like a huge field bonus.
Yeah, which I think it's really not right.
Right. Well, they're going to change that up next year, but the rules are the rules. Yeah.
Yeah, because man, it's so bad. Like I actually think, I don't know, I don't want to say it's ruining everything, but like, I don't know. If you look at the Mystery Millions, if you like get 180th place for like $4,000, you get more points than winning two bracelets.
Yeah.
Who was David Prosiak? Yeah, he won the Badoogie bracelet, or I believe the 1,500. Shout out to him, and he got 50 points for it. Yeah. So you're getting 101 points for a 4x min cash. Like that's
so for the ones of us who aren't really familiar, is that just fantasy points or is that player of the year points?
Just fantasy points.
Just fantasy points.
So there were 19 teams that came together for Negreanu's annual 25K draft, and it's a big sweat, right? So for those who are in it, and like as I said, Team Dinkers, which is Josh K and the Florida crew, are out on top. They had Mizrachi, they had John Racener, so a couple bracelet winners. Bryce Yockey, he's another bracelet winner.
Bryce Yockey, what a monster! Yeah, he's so good. I'm glad he won his first. This is his first one, right?
No, I think it's second.
Oh, really?
Second, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But he's been crushing it. So Team Dinkers are doing pretty well. You can look at the players too right now. Nobody, and this speaks to the point we were just talking about. Christian Harder has 119 points. Joao Simeao has 134. He's the leader right now in points. But you can see the top leaderboard. As I said, that's changing almost daily. And then also want to give you a quick little update on the ODB Fantasy League. So this was a $500 version.
I got some cash in there.
We got one team for the PokerNews team. But ODB right now, you can see the teams there, 515 points is the leader currently.
Wow, that's a lot of points.
And let's see, the PokerNews team, not doing so hot, 150 points.
Who's the PokerNews bonus player?
David Prosiak.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Good choice.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he's owned by 37% of the bonus players. So
Prosiak's owned by 37%?
He was the highest selected in the bonus pool.
Whoa, 37%. Whoa.
Mm-hmm. I know, it's big. But, we'll see. You can see the PokerNews team on the screen right there. Prosiak is our highest earner. We got Brad Rubin, Big Hooney, Kevin Gearhart, Chance Corneth, Punant Punzri, Kristen Foxen, Ian Matakis, and Matt Glantz.
So, you guys are dead.
Yeah, I mean, we were very hopeful at the beginning, but it's not looking so
interesting. There was hope in that team.
I mean, we were pretty hopeful. But.
Okay.
One other good thing I want to mention at the World Series of Poker is the PokerNews Daily Deepstacks. We are having 3 Deepstacks a day. We're doing leaderboards. The winners of these leaderboards are going to win seats into the $600 bracelet event that PokerNews is throwing in. Gosh, I don't know if it's in a week or two, something like that.
I think it's in, because there's 4 weeks of this, right?
Right.
And so this is week 3 you're on now, so 2 weeks.
Sounds right.
I think so, but I will say this. I have sweated a couple of my buddies in those, and they are an absolute blast. Everyone's having a good time, drinking, having fun, and they're playing for a bunch of money too. So, like, man, I've been recommending all my friends, go play the PokerNews Deepstacks. Like, they're pretty good.
And if you make the final table, you get a little cool metal PokerNews chip.
I saw that people are highly coveting those. And I'm not even, like, it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm not. I see on Facebook all the time people talking about how they want those PokerNews coins. So pretty cool.
Well, we got a little video that we're going to show about the PokerNews Daily Deepstacks. Here it is.
Already lost half your bankroll and are looking for the best daily tournaments in town? Then we have the best option for you, the PokerNews Daily Deepstack Tournaments at the WSOP. There are 3 different options every day, a $250 buy-in at 1 p.m., a $400 buy-in at 4 p.m., and a $200 buy-in at 8 p.m. with massive prize pools and a lot of potential to save your series. There is also a weekly leaderboard where you can win tickets to the $600 PokerNews Deepstack Championship bracelet event. So what are you waiting for? Join the action.
All right, so there you have it. Check out the PokerNews Daily Deepstacks. I might have to get in one of those. Speaking of, what are your guys' upcoming plans here? Today, this week, next weekend? I don't know.
Well, I'll be playing a lot of poker.
Very fair.
Starting with a couple of cash games. I got the Monster Stack coming up. There's a Mystery Bounty tomorrow at Aria I might show up to, but I'm really trying to play as many WSOP as possible. And my goal in the 100 days is to make 100K. So we got to play a lot of cash games and a lot of tournaments and hopefully bink one of them.
I'm just like so locked in right now. I want everyone's hearts. I want their souls. I'm going to go to WSOP. I'm going to play online every day. I'm going to win all the money. And I just really feel locked in right now. I've got a 14th, an 11th, a 15th, and a 31st so far, and they're all sub 1. Well, 3 sub 1%, and 1 is, but I can't close it. Me and Michael Rocco.
Yeah,
he got a little more money than I did, but I feel it. I think we're gonna make some more deep runs and crush it. Yeah, nice. I want it so bad.
I got a 469th place in 800 Deepstacks.
469.
So, yeah.
Nice.
So really, who's having a better summer?
I'm not sure. I would say you probably. Yeah.
Well, as for me, I will be bringing you 2 episodes of the PokerNews Podcast throughout the 2024 WSOP every Tuesday and Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Until then, we'll keep a seat open for you.